Welcome back to the channel. 1998 GMC Sierra. It's got the 5.0 in it. Customer wants two things done. Wants the timing checked, and there's a misfire. Now I've already started to dig into this. I just thought it was going to be, spark plug, wire, cap, rotor. So I've already checked spark. It's there. Timing was good. I already did that too. So now what we're going to do is go into fuel. We're going to try to see if there's an injector problem or something like that that's causing the misfire on cylinder 4. So let's get in the car, hook up the scanner, and see what we can find. Okay, so the next test I want to do is an injector balance test to see if we have any issues with the injectors or if we should go after any of the injectors or anything. We know the spark is good, so let's go towards the injector. Now for this test, we got to have a pressure gauge, fuel pressure gauge hooked up, which I've already done. This will also let us see the fuel pressure, which I'm not too concerned about. That would affect all cylinders, not just cylinder 4. So, key on. About 60. That's good. Okay, so now we're going to use the scanner. Hard to see, I'm sure. Looks like. There we go. Go into the engine. Functional test. Injector balance. Sure all fuel lines are connected. Yeah. Engine on or engine off. Ignition on. Once per cycle. Alright, so we'll start with injector 1. It's priming the fuel pump right now. Now it says record fuel pressure. So we'll record about 59, 60. We'll hit continue. And it dropped to about 50. It says record fuel pressure drop. So we'll continue that. You're going to want to write those numbers down. We'll do the same thing for number 2. As you do them, they're going to disappear because you can only do it once per ignition cycle. So we'll do number 2. Priming the pump again. Same thing, about 60, 59, 60. Write that down. That's the drop, so 50 there, 29.50. Write that down. So 1 and 2 have been the same. Let's just skip 3 and go to the problem 1 and number 4. Energize it again up to about 60. Now we'll same thing as 1 and 2, about 50. So I'm going to go through and do the rest of them just to compare, write them down, but 1, 2, and 4 were the same. So let me go through and do the rest of them and see what we come up with. All right, finished up the injector balance test on all the other injectors, and they were exactly the same as the ones you've seen. It started at 60, dropped to 50. So no problems, I suspect, with the injectors or fuel pressure or spark. So now we got to go towards compression. You can run a relative compression test. I've opted to use the old school gauge screwed into the spark plug hole. Either test you run, you don't want the engine to start. So in my case, I've just unhooked the electrical connector for the ignition coil. And none of the cylinders will have spark now, so it won't fire. I did cylinders 1 and 2 for comparison, and they were both at 150 psi with like 3 to 4 revolutions of the engine. So I suspect we're going to have low compression on 4. So let's go ahead and run this test and verify that that's the case. Fire in the hole. What did we get there? About 90, 91, significantly lower than 150. We'll do it one more time. Fire in the hole. That one got up a little bit more, 93-ish, maybe 95-ish. So definitely got low compression on that cylinder. So the compression test on cylinder 4 verified that we do have low compression on cylinder 4. 90 psi is not enough compared to cylinders 1 and 2, which both had about 150. So now we got to figure out why we have low compression on 4. Are the rings bad? Is there intake or exhaust valves not seating all the way? So in order to do that, we're going to do a cylinder link down test. We got to find top dead center on cylinder 4 on the compression stroke. So I'll get to doing that, show you how to do that, and then we'll run the leak down test to figure out why we have low compression. Okay, so now we got to get cylinder 4 at top dead center on the compression stroke. Many ways you can do this. I'm just going to use my borescope through the spark plug hole. You can see the exhaust valve right here, intake valves right here, pistons right here. We're on the exhaust stroke. It's open as the piston comes up. The exhaust valve will shut. Down here, rotating it by hand. There you can see the exhaust closing. Now you can start to see your intake valve opening. That's going to let air in. Keep rotating this slowly but surely. Not a lot of room down here. So now we're on the intake. So the piston is going to come down. As it gets to the bottom, the intake valve is going to close, and then the piston will come up to compression stroke to compress the air. Once both valves should be closed when this piston comes back up to the top. So I'll go around, keep turning the crank, and then we'll see this piston come back up with this valve closing. Okay, now you can see the piston right here. It's going to keep traveling down, and you'll see the intake valve close. There's the intake valve closing. Now, when this piston comes back up, with both valves closed, that's the compression stroke. You'll start to see the piston come back up. There it is. You also notice no valve movement. There it is. We'll come up slowly until we reach top dead center. Right, almost there. Almost. Just another little turn. Almost. There we go. That is top dead center on the compression stroke. So both intake and exhaust valve should be closed. So when we put air into the cylinder, we should have little leakage. You're always going to have some cylinder leakage. So now we can hook up the compression tool or the cylinder leak down tool, and we'll find out where this compression is going. So before we hook up the cylinder leak down test, I wanted to point out that if you look at the valves with both of them closed, it does look like the exhaust valve is not seating all the way compared to the intake. You kind of see it's drooped down a little bit more than the intake valve. So before we even run that test, I suspect that probably going to be a exhaust valve problem just based off of comparing these two valves right now. So just wanted to point that out. We'll go ahead and get the cylinder leak down test hooked up. Okay, to do the cylinder leak down test, here's the tool. You got your air pressure going in, and then here's the amount of leakage you have. As you can see, between 0 and 40% is still good according to this gauge. So first thing we got to do is make sure that we are at the set mark over here. So we'll hook it up to shop air. You can see we are in the set range. We'll get it down to 0 a little bit more with the regulator. Good enough, we're in the set range. So now I've got my adapter screwed in. We're gonna just plug it in and see what the gauge says. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the gauge says we have 100% leakage. Sorry about the air compressor. Now that the air compressor's done running, I don't know if you can see over here on the tool, but it says we have 100% leakage. Now the question is where? So this is where you're going to start checking things to see if you can hear air coming out. I'll pull out the dipstick tube, open the oil fill cap, take your air hose off maybe, see if you got air coming when you open the throttle body. You can pull the vacuum hose off of the brake booster that runs to the intake, see if you got air. But what I want to do now that I know we have 100% leakage, is that I'm just going to get rid of this gauge and I'm going to hook up shop air straight to the cylinder and see if we can't hear where it's coming from. Because with that big of a leak, we should be able to hear it pretty easily. So I'm going to hook up just shop air straight to the cylinder. Okay, in order to hook up shop air straight to the cylinder, I took my compression tester hose. This is not it. On the end of the compression tester hose, there's going to be a Schrader valve in here. Unscrew that, screw it in, and then you can connect shop air straight to that hose instead of running it through that gauge. So now we're going to hook it up and see if we can't hear where all this leakage is at. Okay, I don't know if you can hear that, but I don't feel any air coming out of the intake boot. Got a little bit coming out of the oil fill cap, but like I said, some leakage is going to be normal. But I hear a distinct noise coming from the exhaust. So let me, I don't know if you can hear that, but let me take you closer to the exhaust. Hear that pretty good? Definitely. You can feel it coming out way back here. Definitely has an exhaust valve problem. You can hear it clear as day. Yeah, you heard it. We definitely got an exhaust valve that's not seating properly. There's like a tornado out of the exhaust pipe out there. So head will have to come off, get a valve job done. I don't think the customer is going to actually do the work, but did the 4 test to come to our conclusion. Tested for spark, did the fuel injector balance test, compression test, and the cylinder leak down test. So thanks for coming along with me. I hope it helped you out. If it did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and don't forget to comment down below. And we'll see you in the next one.